you have to be willing to get your hands dirty sometimes, because if you are using someone else's content and that person is not taking any reasoning and then they're rejecting, then you're going to have to go through to the point of countering and maybe going to court.
Right. Okay.
Which I know is just a horrible process, but like I said, it can easily be avoided. They cannot use anyone's clips or anyone's videos, other footage, and they could just show pictures or anything like that and talk about a certain something and then show it if they don't want to go through anything like that. There we go.
Hello? Jake, hello. How's it going?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Let me just bring you up here.
All right, perfect.
We're going to we look kind of similar, so that's probably going to be a thing that people comment on, okay? So be prepared for that.
All right, no worries.
There we go.
Sounds good, sounds good.
How's it going? You well?
Yeah, I'm definitely well. I'm glad that we can have this call because obviously it's great that we can actually kind of get our voices heard, you know?
Sure.
And this is the sort of goal for us, is to really educate everyone, because right now we have people who ain't really learn anything about copyright. They ain't learn anything about how YouTube works as a system, and they're basically tweeting out news information, and it's not correct news. You know, it's all misinformation, and when it could be solved very easy. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think the best thing is to really just bring that awareness out there, get people on the correct path on how to handle situations when they receive a claim, and do the correct process. And there's like literally no revenue loss. There could be no problems whatsoever. If you know you're in the right and your video is fair use, then there should be no issues. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's really what I want to clear up with a lot of stuff. So we could go through it all.
Brilliant. Before we get started, do you want to just like introduce yourself and explain what your kind of role has been in this recent drama that's been happening?
Yeah, so pretty much I'm the co-founder of Aegis. So we built this platform. I've been doing YouTube for more than 15 years now, mainly on the business side. Worked with loads of other companies in the past. Used to help with some onboardings with Machinima. So back in those early days,
Wow.
Full Screen, loads of other companies that I've worked alongside. And then I decided to get more into sort of the digital rights side and just helping creators as well. So the goal when we launched Aegis was we was trying to build a platform to actually help creators, but not only just help creators, help other people who get claimed by those creators. You know, so because the whole issue that everyone faces, say for example you're a big client and you go and you sign up for Content ID, most of these other companies, they don't have a dashboard like ours. So there's no visibility. They don't know what the big company is doing on their behalf. They have no awareness. With our platform, you can see everything that we're doing on your behalf. And then you can also interact with us. You can change stuff and you're in control to do what you want as well, because at the end of the day, it's your content.
So you basically created technology that is in like a plugin, if you like, to YouTube's Content ID system. And then you use that, and clients can work with you to use that to manage their claims on copyright material on YouTube, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then we've also built something that's never been done before, is the whole licensing side of it. So we'll get through to that and I can show you how it would work. But my goal is sometimes there is creators that do actually make decent content, but it's not fair use at all, you know? But an original owner, we're like, mate, this guy, okay, he's taking all your clips, but he's actually giving you a good image, or he's helping you grow, get discovered more. You should definitely do a license deal with them. So at least they still get paid, and then you get paid as well, and then everyone's happy. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we've also been trying to do, and just try to shape the whole thing. And the main goal for me is, I think I might have mentioned it to you before when we talked, was the whole thing is TV, movies, all of that is dying out. You know, people will sit and watch a YouTuber react to a TV show more than they would probably watch the TV show themselves sometimes. So my goal is to eventually get those big companies to work with us to set up those licensing deals and all those deals, so creators in the future can react to movies or TV shows, music, anything like that, and not worry about, okay, getting a claim or a takedown or anything like that. They still get a claim, but they'll still be getting a portion of the revenue. So it's not like no loss. if you know what I mean.
So,
There's loads of
a
people
movie
like that.
company would like come to you, and they are able to say to you, right, we're happy people to watch our movies. We just want a cut of the revenue from the ads or something like that. Is that what we're saying? Is that what happens?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the sort of goal that we want to get to. Obviously, it won't be like the big Hollywood star sort of movies at the beginning. Probably be smaller movies that have run through their time of being on Netflix and everything like that. And then eventually they're going to think, oh, okay, the movie's basically not getting much viewers anymore. We maybe let's look at this other alternative to start pushing it out there again. And with the whole space of the internet, anything can go viral or become big again if it's got enough push. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to achieve. We're working with some sports organizations as well. I will name them in the future, but we're currently. That's why I was at the Google headquarters and everything. There's a lot of stuff going on that's really going to help us. And yeah, we've got a great team behind us, and we're signing some really good deals that's going to really shape the whole way this whole industry is going to be. So yeah, that's what we've been focusing on at the moment.
Chud Nation.
Yo. Okay, sure. So obviously that sounds like great PR for you, but we need to get into this drama and what's going on. So there's been claims by a lot of YouTubers that Adin Ross has been copyright striking people for uploading his content, in some cases for fair use. Do you want to just talk us through kind of your perspective on these claims and what's been going on there from your end?
Yeah, so the issue is, first of all, no copyright strikes at all. There is no strikes whatsoever that's happened on our system. We ain't issued one strike with Adin's content yet. And there's nothing literally in a system with Adin Ross with a strike. All we've done is just third-party claims. Some have been through manual claims and some have been through automatic claims. And all people need to do, if their video is fair use or they have specific permissions or anything like that, is simply dispute it or reach out to us. And then it gets handled straight away. Going and taking a screenshot, going to Twitter, ain't going to solve problems. If you're a small creator, just go the dispute route. If you're a bigger creator and you think you can get the numbers up and get people pushed so it gets done quicker, you can do Twitter if you want. But at the end of the day, it's still the same process. You get a claim. If you know it's fair use or if you believe it's fair use, dispute it. Another thing that people do get confused with, and this is like the crazy thing with it, is you can't, because you've uploaded a video and you think your video is fair use. That don't mean that it is fair use. You can't be a person to decide yourself, and you are still using someone else's original content. So out of principle, the original owner is allowed to challenge you on that. Then you can provide your reason and your argument. And then if the original owner says, oh, okay, that's a fair point, totally understand. Now that I've got that context behind it, I'm happy for you to keep the video claimed, keep the video released. I'll release it right now. And that's all they have to do a lot of the time. People who make fair use videos should always expect this, They should always expect sometimes that they will receive a claim. It's one of those things that happens.
And was one thing to explain, because I think people might not exactly understand what you mean by the word claim. So
yeah,
you're talking about YouTube's content ID system, right?
Yeah, content ID claim.
Okay, and can you just explain, because there has been a lot of discussion about this, what is the difference between a copyright strike and this content ID claim?
So a content ID claim is when you go and you see it in your channel, in your YouTube studio, it says that there's a third-party claim on your video. This means that a lot of the time there's 3 different ways that this creator could do it. Is a content ID claim can be a block, which is not a takedown, but it just means that it's blocked in all countries. Another could be that it's on track, which means that the original owner is just tracking it for views, but the money still don't go to the other person who uploaded the video. And then the third one is monetization. So then that means that all the money that has been put on that is claimed, not from the previous, okay? So not from like back. So from the day we received the claim, the day the claim goes on their YouTube video is the day the original owner starts earning. So like, say for example, they earned like $8,000, like was discussed on Twitter before. All of that was already earned. You know, he already earned that, and he would get paid that. We only earn
you
from
can't go
moving
back
forward.
and pluck the money from views that have already been
Yeah,
gained before you get
exactly.
the content ID thing happening. Okay.
And with these normal claims like that, they're soft claims. They don't affect the channel, other than obviously the creator don't earn, right? And you can dispute them. When you do the dispute the first time, you don't have to send any personal information. Okay, it's only when you go to the appeal stage and then to the counter notification where you have to do your address on an appeal. You just have to sign off on it, and then on a counter, that's when you're about to decide, oh, you're both going to go to court. And that's when you put personal information. So a standard dispute, you don't have to do that. So if anyone's ever worried, you don't have to do that at all. And it's just a perfectly clean way of doing it. A strike, on the other hand, is totally like a nuke. You know, that is you showing that you're looking to destroy someone else's channel or well-being. You know, and I hate doing that. I've like literally, from creators that we've worked with in the past, and also we've worked with some A-list celebrities and people that we want to protect their content. People sometimes say to us, we want you to take down these videos. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to do a block, you know, because at the end of the day, sometimes creators make mistakes and the strike is sometimes very harsh. So I do prefer just to do a worldwide block other than a actual strike. So yeah, when I see going around on Twitter and everything, people saying we're doing strikes constantly, it's very upsetting because I don't want to do that, you know?
Sure. So what particular creators do you think are the most problematic when it comes to making these claims about strikes? Like who have you seen that said things and you're like, that's just completely and totally wrong the way that they've said that?
So we've had people like obviously Jake Lucky. We've had other people who have actively put out it. For example, the Act Man. We've had a few other sort of people like Philip DeFranco and a load of other people. And I think the main issue is here, right? Some of these guys, it's like, here's a scenario. It's like a bricklayer trying to tell an electrician what to do or that they're wrong. You know, the bricklayers, the expert, they know what they're doing. They go through the training. They've done everything. You know, they've went to the Google office, done all the internal training, know exactly the system in and out. You know, and then you're being told everything's false and all that. And you're literally sitting in meetings weekly with Google, going through all the policies, changing. So you know everything of it. And it's really hard if people tweet like that and they don't do their research on it, because only a little simple of like 20 minutes searching and doing some really solid research on all of it, you can see that it's actually, we're doing everything above the books. We're actually doing things that's correct. And I do understand where they're coming from, though, that it is very annoying receiving a claim. And I do understand that. And I wish that there was a way just to immediately remove fair use videos, because it would make my team's life easier and it would just make the whole world easy. We won't have any of this drama, right? But sadly, there's not a way to do that. Maybe in the future there might be, but again, fair use is one of those things that you can't really see unless you physically see it. You know, you have to watch it yourself. And another confusion that people do have with fair use videos is they think that they can just, like, reaction videos. Best example. Some people who do reaction videos, they would just sit there, play the whole video, 10-minute video, reacting to something, don't even pause or give comments, but just sit there and then react to it and talk as it's playing. That in a court probably wouldn't even pass for fair use, you know? So there is a lot of understanding people need to do in training. You know, the best way to do like a really solid fair use piece is to go ahead, talk about something, show the clip, talk about it again, show the clip. You know, you don't have to play like a 3 or 4 minute video to get the context. You can still talk about what's going on and then maybe show the sources where the original video is for more context for people. So there is a lot of ways that people can do it better that way. And as long as people educate themselves on that, it would make life easier as well. So, yeah, we're trying to do our best. And yeah, these big creators, they've got a platform. And the best thing that they can do is they can make their life easier. They can make our lives easy. They can make everyone else's life easier. All the people who's coming to them complaining by saying, guys, dispute the claim, or here's their Twitter, or here's their website. Go reach out to them, and they will help. You know, instead
Sure.
of just
So you're saying that from your end, people are not even using the kind of claim form where they simply just fill out and say, "This is fair use. Here's my reasoning." They're going straight to Twitter and going, "Oh my god, I'm getting copyright claimed," and then big YouTubers are seeing that, not looking into it, and putting out content that just repeats that, even though it's not true. Is that kind of what you've noticing? Is
yes,
that
exactly. So, for example, when I met with Tipster and I talked about it, and he explained, and when he said that he received a claim from us, I said, "Did you dispute it?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Was the claim released?" And he said, "Yeah." He went through the same process that you're supposed to go through. And that's why I encourage people, everyone who does dispute, and if the video is fair use, it will be released. You know, but like it's just one of those sort of situations. Sometimes there is clips that might be that they think is fair use, but it's not. I've got people sending disputes that's just done a full compilation of like Adin Ross, and then on their dispute it says fair use
right?
or public domain. A lot of people think public domain is what's on the internet publicly, right? Public domain is before copyright was created. You know, so like the old Mickey Mouse type stuff, you know, the old children's and nursery rhymes, all of that stuff is part of the public domain. This was before like copyright was ever existence, or when copyright expires on a certain content, because most copyright material has a time frame. And these are the sort of responses we get sometimes, and it's just a bit of education that would do them justice when they do that as well, and it would stop people from getting upset with a rejection or something as well.
So you've had people like the Ackman, Jake Lucky, I think Dexerto as well wrote an article about this,
Yeah.
and I believe had some incorrect information in. What effort, if any, have you made to actually talk to these people and try and correct the record?
So I've tried to have that sort of call with all of them. I had a call with the Ackman. It was very brief. He only showed us one example of a content of someone that got claimed. It was from a woman who basically had a video, which is a reaction video. Example, the same sort of thing I was talking about. Hardly pauses the video, reacts to the full content with just a webcam and just plays the whole content. She disputed the first time. It got rejected by one of our staff members, but she didn't dispute again until a year later. I said, if it gets to those cases, they should just follow through, go through the whole process and fight for it, and then it would get released. And that was the only source of information he brought to my attention. I went again and showed him our system. I showed him our operations. I also showed him that our dispute queue. I showed him our claims release. I tried to also show him our takedown queue so he could show that there was no takedowns. And yeah, just went in depth and in detail just to show them what we're doing is actually above board. And that's the goal, is to be fully transparent with people. You know, you're not really going to get companies like us that are going to want to jump on a call like this, because we are doing everything legally and we don't have to do this. But my goal is, what I'm trying to do is have people accept us and understand that we're actually doing things in a correct way, and try to educate everyone so people are not scared of copyright claims in the future if they're dealing with our company.
Sure. I mean, the thing is, though, I guess the way I see it is you've got kind of an uphill battle, because there's a comment here in chat and it says, you could not willy-nilly claim videos so people do not have to fight. I think this is like quite a common sentiment. How do you plan to kind of address that sentiment? Do you think there's a way to change those people's minds, or how would you respond to that?
I mean, the best way to do it is, you got to see it. It's one of those things where if there's a fair use video and you're making a video of someone else's content, you have to go through that process. Like, at the end of the day, would you think someone like Nike, you know, would let people go around using their brand without their permission, and not have any visibility of what's going on with it, you know? And I think that's the best way to kind of explain it. With people that are very high profile streamers, creators, and everything like that, I think that they do have a sort of a sense that they should have some visibility of what's going on the internet about them. Whether it's negative or not, it don't matter, but it's still a way that they can kind of have full transparency of what's going on. And then if you are making a fair use claim, just like I said, it's just a really simple dispute process. It don't hurt your channel. Like I said, takedown. We ain't done a takedown. And in being all realistic as well, it's very hard for like a creator saying, oh, do you know what? I'm going to take this person to court over this claim. You know, if it's only got like 20 views or 50 views, like what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, let's be honest, you know? So yeah, I understand it's a pain. It really is, but it's just a process. If you don't like that process, then just don't make videos of other people's content, or like don't include it. It's really that simple. You know, you can show a picture of the person. You don't have to play his clip. Do you know what I mean? You can really go back to basics and still get the message across without showing the clip. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. So your message is basically like,
behind it.
If you want to use a clip, by all means use a clip, and it's fair use, not a problem. But understand, because of the way that YouTube and your system works, they're going to get a content ID claim, which doesn't have a massive negative impact. They dispute it, and it's likely to be released. That's what I'm understanding.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly.
So you mentioned obviously the Ackman there. What came of your conversation with the Ackman? Did it kind of, change his mind on anything?
Me and him we had a great call. He's a great guy. You know, I was trying to see if there's anything else, any more information and everything like that, to kind of get across. And yeah, it went really well, the call. And then I was shocked afterwards when he put out all these tweets still. And then I looked at his tweets and I was thinking, you're complaining and saying we're doing false and illegal activities on a video that we claimed that is a fair use video, but that's not illegal. You know, those YouTubers still have our clients' content. That's not illegal. And that's the massive confusion. And really, I've tried my best. I send him on Discord. I've sent him very educational stuff. I'm linking him out to the Google stuff. You know, you can even go straight away and watch the fair use YouTube video. That already gives you the most information possible. You know, that basically just says it in the first 30 seconds. Fair use is not determined on YouTube. You know, and people are saying we're violating YouTube's rules, which is totally false. So, yeah, call went great. Didn't get much more context of all of his evidence that he's put together and everything like that. I would have loved him to just share it all, because I could have opened up on the back end, which I wish I could do on stream, but I can't. But I would have opened it all up and said, right, so this is the problem you had. Here's what we've done. You know, so then he can kind of see that we actually have taken action, because sometimes as well, for example, we had Internet Anarchist, we released his claim the day later. Yeah. But then he went on for more than 10 days talking about how he still lost $8,000, talking about how, he's still got the claim. And then in his latest video, he said that he was going through a dispute process. He was going through a legal battle with it. And we literally released a claim the day later of his tweet. So, like, it was claimed the 22nd. We released on the 23rd. And then he went all the way on to the 2nd of the next month, until YouTube basically clarified, hey, the original owner already released it. So, yeah, we get stuff like that as well. And I've also looked at some of the tweets and I'm like, oh, this guy's name looks familiar. Click on it and we've already released the claim. So there is a lot of that. And he did say it's like a can of worms. He said when looking at the stuff, because I guarantee when people go look back, most of this was already just handled, but they're just sending this to say, hey, yeah, we received a claim from them before, but has it been handled? Yes or no? Or have you disputed? Yes or no? You know, and that's the main problem we have.
Sure. So there's a couple of other things as well I just wanted to talk about specifically. So I covered a Jake Lucky video the other day, actually. Because I believe you've tried to contact him. What's the situation with Jake Lucky?
So I have been trying to have a call with him for a very long time, even since last year when everything happened. Didn't really want to get on a call. And then we ended up talking on Twitter. I added him on Discord. We were supposed to have a call on a Friday. I said that the other company, that basically the agency that is representing Adin Ross and everything, Cardigan Media, weren't able to make it, but I can still make it. So I can still get on a call and let's just go through things. He didn't jump on a call. And then I've been still sending him all the information, for example, the Internet Anarchist news. And this is the thing that confuses me. I don't deal with this stuff. I'm not a news person or that. But I just think me being, I don't know how I've been brought up, is more sort of, if you're going to talk about something negative and actually something else comes out that is actually the truth, and you're a reporter, you should be putting that out too. And that's how I think things should be reported and be fairly. Because right now it's very unbiased. It's not biased, sorry, and it's not making any sense. For example, he should have put out a tweet after he said about internet anarchist losing 8K. Put out a tweet saying, "By the way, guys, internet anarchist video was released the next day, but he went on until the 2nd of May." But no one has done that because they're all friends in their circle there, and I just think that's quite unfair because not only my company and business is getting dragged around from that, but also Adin Ross, who didn't do anything. He's totally unacknowledgeable. You know, everything was released, so it's not a good look. And it would be nice. I sent him this information straight away as well, and he didn't cover it. He read the messages and everything like that, but didn't get back to me on any of it.
Damn. And I think Dexerto, who are like a Twitch streamer, esports press org, I believe there was something that happened with them as well. What was that situation?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. I work with, obviously, you can always check out my LinkedIn yourself personally. I work with a lot of people. Like, I've been in the industry like 15 years. So I'm very well connected with a lot of people in the space, you know, ex YouTube employees, ex sort of machinima full screen employees, Facebook employees, and everything. So I use LinkedIn all the time to communicate with these guys, you know, when I talk to people. So I thought, oh, okay. I looked at my network. I was already connected with the CEO of Decerto. And I thought, I'm just going to reach out to him. You know, I saw that they posted a news article. So I said, hey, you know, you can put up the screenshot if you want to show people. Yeah. I reached out and basically explained the information regarding his news article that they put out. And he just blocked me completely, just blocked me on LinkedIn, didn't respond back, blocked me completely. So then I obviously looked, who else do I have on Decerto on LinkedIn? So I also went and reached out to one of the other people who's the co-founders as well. And I said, hey, look, you know, I've been trying to get in contact with you guys, but I can't. And I said that the CEO has just blocked me. He read the message and didn't even reply as well. So I'm like, and then if you look at the YouTube short that is I shared with you as well, they've just literally made another video. And the first second in the YouTube short, they're talking about internet anarchist, which is there with the false information again, which was literally uploaded yesterday. And they're also talking about the whole thing with Futives, the Call of Duty player, which was also resolved too. You know, and they're not clarifying anything. They're not saying anything's been released. So it's just like they're putting out this, but no one's going and putting out news after it or an update after, you know, of what's actually happened. And that's what I think is totally unfair, you know, and it shouldn't be that way.
Well, I mean, you know, it is misinformation, but unfortunately it's not very sexy misinformation about the vaccine or something like that. So obviously it's like copyright, which is a bit dry for a lot of people, right? So people just don't have the same interest in it. And people hate copyright in the first place some of the time because people want a freebie, right? Or, you know, they want to watch a clip channel, even though that is probably a breach of copyright by most situations, right? One other thing I just wanted you to explain as well is fair use, because people seem to think that fair use is just like, hey, I say it's fair use, so it's fair use, right? What is the actual like reality as someone that's worked in the industry for so long when it comes to fair use? What does it mean, and where are people getting it wrong?
So fair use, if you're making a video with someone else's content, you are a fair use claimant, okay? So that means that you're claiming your video is fair use, which you're allowed to do. But again, you're a claimant, and if the original person challenges you, it falls on the claimant who's saying their video is fair use to challenge and basically provide context to the person whose clip they've used that their video is fair use. That's legally, and that's how it has to be. So YouTube is just like a mediator before it gets legal, which is great. YouTube's a great platform for that.
Yes,
you know, it could get really, really dark, you know, in terms of like going to court over something where you've got a dispute process, which people are saying they hate, is actually a great place to handle stuff instead of going legally. So yeah, fair use like that. When you make a video of fair use, you are the claimant. So you have to provide context. You can't just think, oh, I'm going to go and take part of a Disney movie. I'm going to take the end credit scene of the latest Disney film, and I'm going to just make a fair use. I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to upload the end scene of the movie. So everyone gets spoiled, right? They're going to go ahead and claim that as well, and you then have to prove that it's fair use. And there's no issue with that. If your video is fair use, then you could get away with it. If it ain't, then, they're going to still keep it claiming. But you, as a person, still can continue to fight and take them to court in regards to that. It's just like anything in regards to you taking someone else's logo, you taking anything like that. That's the best way to explain it. And I think people have like a sense of entitlement that when they do, they have an entitlement that I'm using this clip and this video is fair use because I know it's fair use. But is it fair use in reality? I think when
fair
people
use is a legal defense you would have to make in court normally, right? Like, I think that's what people don't understand. Normally, in the old days before Content ID, you'd have to go to a court to claim fair use.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing where people see it as an example is H3H3's podcast when he won his court case for fair use.
Yeah.
And that was the best fair use example. And if people should actually go back and watch that video of him when he won that, because you can see he's reacting to something for very short, maybe 3 or 4 seconds, 5 seconds tops, the clip. Then he talks about it. 3 or 4 seconds long, then talks about it, gives criticism, talks about it. And some people think that they can just take, for example, Adin Ross clips and just make a load of different montages or compilations, and that's fair use. So there's a lot of confusion around it. And I just think it's good. I was actually going to look at some point doing really educational, like sort of videos and articles around fair use to kind of educate people on how to do it properly. Because these people who think that they could challenge in court for a fair use video would be really shocked, in terms of what is fair use and what ain't. It's very harsh. And in parts of Europe and other countries, fair use gets even harder. For example, in Germany, fair use don't even exist. And then you literally have to have like a news source where you have to like link things out. You have to have everything that kind of leads to the original source. You can't just go ahead and do something without linking anywhere to the original source. So it's very hard to kind of provide a fair use video. And yeah, if people are getting into it, do your best and educate yourself. First is educate yourself on a YouTube system, how the dispute process works. All the information is there. You go on, you type in Google fair use. It will come up with the Google's whole thing. It shows a fair use explainer video. And then that explains a lot with it. And it even says, like, even if you're using only 5 seconds of someone's clip, it can still be claimed, which is, right. That's just how copyright works. And yeah, it'd be good if people do that education. And we're going to still try and do it our best ourselves to educate people on that, so they understand how everything works in regards to fair use.
Sure, yeah. One other thing I wanted to address as well, because this is something that comes up a lot in regards to ISO speed. I believe there was some involvement you had with an actual copyright strike involving ISO speed, right?
Yeah.
So can you just, because obviously I think one thing people might say is, well, what about the time you copyright struck ISO speed? What happened there? What was that about?
So there's basically a video that went around that was actually a video that we took down, that we done a strike on, because it's a Zoom video. So it was a Zoom iShow Speed video. What they've done is they've just gone ahead and took iShow Speed's clips and put him in a Zoom call, and they're playing the clips to everyone. Okay? And all it is a compilation of people reacting to iShow Speed going crazy on a Zoom call. So he's basically getting in a Zoom call, the guy, but instead of him being on his webcam, he's playing iShow Speed going crazy through the webcam. Those sort of videos there, borderline fair use, very hard argument to prove that in court. And the negative image it has on the actual creator, even though iShowSpeed does do his own things. For example, he does do stuff to grab the internet's attention, right? This sort of image was quite bad, like they've done with like certain clips that was taken out of context, that could be taken out of context, and put those into compilations for people to react.
Would that
to
even
Zoom
come
call.
into it from a fair use perspective? That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I mean, I honestly, hands down on my heart, that would not win a fair use case. That's what I believe personally. I can even share the clip with you. If you can even go on to, let me just quickly.
Because to me, it would seem that if you're putting that much effort into creating a video, I know transformative is one element that people talk about, and there's like 4 elements of fair use. Does that not come into it at all, or?
So, what people tend to miss out on is you can do transformative stuff, but if the full video is based around the original content, there's a very hard argument for fair use. So basically,
well, okay, actually, just thinking about it, if I did a Zoom call and I broadcast the brand new Little Mermaid movie in the Zoom call, and then I tried to put that onto YouTube, that's going to get taken down, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So in this case, they were just using just his clips in the Zoom call, and was he doing anything at all?
No. So what it was is just iShowSpeed viral clips and people reacting to it in a Zoom call. So like he was joining random like meetings, business meetings and everything like that. And that's how it was. And then they would just jump in. And that's literally how it was. So what we done in this case, which we didn't do bad at the beginning. So when we got the dispute, we then went to an appeal and we issued a delayed takedown. So a delayed takedown is 8 days, I believe. Yeah, around about 8 days it should be. Okay, so 8 days for the original owner to reach out to us before the video gets taken down. So we actually had Cardigan Media reached out to him and got no response, because we wanted to say like, look, okay, we understand that you think this is fair use. We don't think that this video is fair use. So that's our argument on this case. Let's just work out a deal then and just license split it if you're not willing to delete it instead of the video going taken down. We don't want to take you to court. We don't want to basically do anything like that. So it ended up getting to a point where he didn't reply or respond to any of that. So we couldn't basically lead to those discussions of licensing because he basically didn't reply. So it got to the point where the strike happened and we just ended up releasing it. I just said, let's just release it. There's no point, if you want to take this to court, you can, but it's one of those sort of situations where do you really want to go to court for this person? Like I was saying before, right?
Right. Okay.
But this is another thing, a sense to entitlement where people think that they can take clips like that and get away with it. And you can react to it yourself in a Zoom. You can watch the video at some point and just ask yourself, is that fair use? Because I've been doing this for years. And because where people think it's transformative, right? That don't mean that you can just like, oh, we do loads of edits with it and stuff like that. That don't matter, because if you read all about fair use, and even if you go to Google's fair use, the problem lies here is the main source of what is trending on this and where the original content is coming from. Every part of this video almost relies around the original content of iShowSpeed. So it's a very hard argument to basically say that it's fair use, because it's all of his content and clips going through all the way to the end.
Sure. I mean, it'd be interesting to at some point. I'll watch the video and just see. I mean, obviously, I am a layman in all of this. I've read a bit about it, but be interesting to see anyway. Okay, but your basic point. So what you're kind of getting at there is there was this kind of copyright strike issued off the back of a delayed thing that you did. They never got back to you, but in the end, you didn't take it any further.
Yeah, we just thought it's unnecessary to go through those sort of steps, especially the backlash that it was getting, negative PR, obviously for the creator himself, right? So it was one of those things where at some point, I do think some of our clients at some point, if it does get to something like that again, that we should definitely do like a challenge where we actually do proceed with it. Because I think it's good educational stuff. People need to understand that sometimes your video ain't fair use that you think it is. And, you know, or maybe we might be proven wrong as well. But this sort of content here, if you compare it to how H3H3 won his sort of video, very, very different. You know, this is just like a montage type thing of all of iShowSpeed's clips, but with a Zoom people reacting to it, you know, randomly. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that one of the big issues with this, because obviously, even with your experience, you know, you've got your position on it, but without going to court, there isn't like a precedent that's set for some of this stuff, right?
what do you mean?
Well, for example, you're saying that you didn't want to take the person to court, but are you not concerned that if you're not willing to go to take them to court, like people are just going to take the piss and, you know, nothing's going to, like, you need to
Yeah.
be able to
So,
back up your threat, right?
yeah. So, what I've got is a free strike rule for our clients. This is my own clients that we work with. If they won't, if this happens more than 3 times and they don't take the person to court, then we're just not going to work with them. And that's just as simple as that. Because at the end of the day, it's not us who's taken to court. It's the original owner has to take the person to court. We're the mediator. We're there to help them protect their content. But it's still the original owner who has to make the decision to take someone to court. So it does get a bit tricky like that.
So you're saying that, you know, you don't want to be in a position where you're representing people that don't have the balls, basically, to take someone to court because it makes it the system look a bit weak, right? That's my understanding of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, people have been saying, a couple of people have said I need to push back more. I mean, my understanding of it, I don't think you've said anything that's wrong or anything that's incorrect. Maybe some disagreements on our perception on phase for some things, but yeah, I think that pretty much sums everything up. Why do you think the discussion around copyright and fair use is so bad at the moment on the internet?
I think because people don't get any replies from these copyright holders. But now we're trying to show people that we're going to do that, you know? And I think that's a great way to start it. Right now, people can have transparency with us. We've got a website where they can send a ticket instead of going through a legal dispute, which is sometimes better. And yeah, it's just always in the dark. On YouTube, the YouTube system, dispute system, is a bit like you can't have an active communication with the other person. Right. So it's very hard. Sometimes where someone is so adamant that their video is fair use, and it's, say, for example, it's just a whole compilation video and it's nothing fair use at all, but they still think it is, and they challenge, you can't just say, you can't write a message on a dispute to them back, being the owner of it, saying, hey, mate, this is why we don't think it's fair use and everything. Here's all our context around it, you know, and this is why. It's for them to kind of get more context so they know. All they just see is we've rejected the dispute and the claim is back on. And then next step is to appeal the claim. So us adding our ticketing system, and now people know that when we work with people like iShowSpeed, Adin Ross, and all those creators, they can reach out to us lot, and we can basically handle all the situations or just go through the dispute process, and just basically, if when they click dispute, if it don't get resolved or if it gets rejected by us, go onto a ticket, talk to us in person. If you want to jump on a call and have a talk about it as well, we're more than welcome to organize and have that set up as well. But like I said to you before, hardly around about 3% of videos are even fair use videos of these creators. You go onto Adin Ross, iShowSpeed, you filter by today's uploads, and all you just see is their live stream rips. You know, everyone's just taking their VODs or just a certain part, and it's not even a fair use video.
Well, that was,
it's very small.
That's one thing that I was kind of thinking as well. Is like, my guess would be that, you know, you're not a 30-second clip in a fair use video in a 20-minute video, right? That isn't really your concern. It's these people that are ripping VODs and putting them up. And I presume there's some channels that are making money hand over fist, just reusing Adin's content without any transformation or anything, right? That, I presume, is what you're kind of going after also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's kind of everything I wanted to really talk about. I'll take some questions from chat actually, if you don't mind. I've got 15 minutes left, if that's
Yeah,
cool.
sure. No
And
problem. Yeah, that's
you
all
know,
right.
cool. Chat. Go ahead. Ask whatever questions you've got. Okay. Nail this guy to the ground. Let's go. Um, um, but yeah, I'll just ask one question. What's your Actually, no, I've got one here. How big is your legal team?
Oh, so we do have a legal team ourselves, and we got 4 lawyers, but that is just us. That's not to represent anyone other than us, because obviously we have contracts behind the scenes that we have to do for different regions, different languages. Um, you know, YouTube creators is just only the small part of what we do as a business. You know, we do want to tap into that, but we also work with a lot of people like movie companies, specifically some in India, some in all different countries that you can think of that are using us as well. So we've just started touching base on creators, and with our tech, that's kind of how we wanted to get things moving to help creators too. So yeah, we do have like a decent, relatively decent legal team, but it's not like out there to go after people. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
This is just for us and all our documentations and everything like that. It's nothing like, we're not a bad guy. Reach out to
Well, you
us,
would
talk
say
to us
that,
in
wouldn't you?
person. Yeah, of course. So reach out to us and talk to us, and just figure it out. We're not unreasonable. And like I said, I built the license inside of it, where if we do have a disagreement, and you can think, oh, okay, we're willing to accept a revenue split or something like that for the content that we used, then do that. Instead of going through all the other legal battles of having a takedown or anything like that. I think that's always a good case too.
Okay. Have you ever seen the inside of a courtroom?
Me? No.
Yeah. Okay. I think they mean more so over copyright stuff, not like have you committed a crime. But anyway, that's
No, no.
that's not answered. Um, so okay. So this person asks, did Hassan lie about fake takedowns? Hassan Piker.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So when he said takedowns, there was no takedowns.
Right. Okay. It was all through Content ID. Is that correct?
Yes. It was just normal copyright claims from Content ID, which is to monetize, and people can dispute it. A strike is when they strike on a video and it's completely deleted off the YouTube channel
Right.
until they fight it back, right? So it's totally different. That's typically like the worst thing anyone could do.
Okay. And would be interested in how they handle small creators rather than people making thousands of dollars, and if they go after small creators that are bad for a creator's image. I'm not sure what the question is in that exactly. Okay, if you can rephrase it, I'll ask it again. Is it cost effective to
Yeah.
take small creators to court? Is the next one.
Not always, but if it is something that is deliberate and is complete abuse, to like just constantly ripping someone's content, of course, it will have to be at some point that we'd have to make an example. You know, like for example, if a small creator, for example, just goes and uploads constant movies onto their YouTube channel, eventually that movie company is going to take them to court.
Yeah.
Even though it's just, because you're going to have to stop them at some point. So we don't ever want to get like that. But eventually, it's always down to the original owner who wants to deal with it. How do they want to deal with it in the end?
Okay, and this person asks, if you don't watch the videos first to check fair use, are you surprised you're seen as a villain?
If the problem is with that is videos are automatically claimed. So how it works, Content ID is a fingerprint. Okay, so that's the best way to explain it. It will scan the whole of the internet for anything that matches with your creator's content. So it then gets automatically claimed.
You mean
And
YouTube, not
then
the
when it
internet,
gets
just YouTube, right? Or Google platforms.
yeah,
Yeah.
all of YouTube's platform. And
Yeah.
then it gets automatically claimed. We do have a team that goes through and looks at the claims tab, that does actively remove fair use videos if we believe they are proactively. But we receive 20 to 50,000 claims a day, maybe more.
Right.
And yeah, there's a lot. So going
There's
through
not enough
that,
manpower to watch that much content. That's
exactly,
insane. Yeah. That's
exactly,
insane. Yeah.
exactly. So the best way, which why YouTube introduced it, was add the dispute, and that's what people do. It's not like we're claiming stuff actively fair use all the time like that. No, but at the end of the day, it's someone else's content. That's why it was claimed, and it's your argument as a fair use claimant to argue your case to the original owner. You know,
Okay. Do you have any issues with the way the YouTube claim system works, like the fact it's 100% up to the claimant to decide?
it's not really, because at the end of the day, okay, you're receiving a claim, but you still have the dispute section. So it's actually, you're also in control. It's a mediator, you know. So
But I
if
think
you
what I
go
think,
and
sorry, just to clarify, I think what he means is you get the claim, you give your justification and say it's fair use, here's the reasoning. The person that submitted the claim gets it back and they can just go, I disagree with the reasoning.
well, that's the whole point of being like that. So it's like YouTube's the mediator, right? They're
Okay.
the people that get in between before you go into court. So if you don't want that sort of case, just immediately just say, look, let's just go to court and talk about it then. And that's like the only sort of response that I have to that, if you know what I
Okay.
mean.
Okay. Okay, this one's about British accents. I don't care about that. We've asked a few more here. When dealing with fair use disputes, has anyone really been far even as decided to use either? Okay, that's obviously a stupid one. I don't know. Well, this is a business question. What is the revenue model for Aegis?
What do you mean
I
by
guess
that?
what they're
Like,
asking is, how do you make money?
so we make money by obviously working with creators, but also by helping other companies, sports, anything like that, handle stuff. So it is like, it does generate revenue. But right now, we're spending so much on our tech to make everything better. You know, we are making profit, of course, but we're just slowly improving our platform. Like I'm saying, why I'm having this call is we're trying to shed a light in a new way of how we want copyright and how YouTube to work as a system in the future. So that's why I'm jumping on calls like this, so people kind of know of us, and if they know clients that we work with, they know where to come now. Instead of just dealing with all that stuff by themselves and being like, don't know what's going on.
Okay. How does a culture of claiming fair use content and then having to dispute the claim affect the space?
Pardon?
So I
So
think they're
how does the
asked.
culture?
Yeah, I think they're what they're being critical of is the fact that you know you're claiming fair use content, and then the claim's got to be disputed, and they're saying that I think that creates like a negative culture in the space of like YouTube, etc.
It shouldn't, and that's where people should get rid of that mindset, because it's still someone else's content as well, you know. And you're a person who's made a video of someone else's, and you're the person claiming it's fair use. Again, it's just a sense of entitlement, people thinking that their video is fair use when it might not be, or they should. It's just, best way to even think of it like this is, if you are going to make a content on someone, maybe reach out to them first as well, seek permission and get it that way, as well, and then you would avoid the claim in the beginning most of the time, you know. So sometimes it could be like that, and that could be the best way to go around things. But yeah, people who's using fair use should expect this. They are still using other people's content, and it's the fair use claimants right. And well, it's basically their thing where they have to go ahead and prove to the original owner that this, hey, my video is fair use. And you can research that everywhere. That's just how it works, you know.
Sure, I've got something from my um, editor here. Basically, what they're saying, it was just in regards to that question you answered about the YouTube and the mediation. What they're trying to point out is that you send back to the claimant. It seems like you've got a different process for this, but other people will just say, no, it's not fair use, sometimes without even watching or considering. And there's no accountability on their side for that. They can just say no. And the next step would be the first steps of the legal process, right?
Yeah. So in those cases there, you have to be willing to get your hands dirty sometimes, because if you are using someone else's content and that person is not taking any reasoning, and then they're rejecting, then you're going to have to go through to the point of countering and maybe going to court.
Right. Okay.
Which I know is just a horrible process, but like I said, it can easily be avoided. They cannot use anyone's clips or anyone's videos, other footage, and they could just show pictures or anything like that and talk about a certain something and then show it if they don't want to go through anything like that. For example, the best one used to be Nintendo, right? So the gaming sort of stuff back in the day, gaming used to be straight away taken down. So a lot of creators back in the early days didn't used to upload Nintendo gaming content because they knew if they did, it would lead to a block or a takedown, or they wouldn't be able to monetize. So they just didn't use it. And then sometimes if you're a news reporter or something like that, or making videos in fair use, you know, okay, I can make a video of this person because he don't protect his content, but I know this person does. So instead of me showing the clips, I'm going to take a screenshot of it, reference what happened in the clip, and then talk about that. And then that would avoid any issues.
Okay, so you're saying that if you're not willing to go to court to back up your claims of fair use, you need to find other means with which to kind of navigate the system, basically.
Yeah, you can always do it a different way as well. You don't have to always use someone's clips. And I do understand, believe me, from a creator's perspective as well.
Because the issue is you could potentially end up in a situation where a creator is just extremely limiting coverage of their stuff because who's got the money to take like a big creator to court over their fair use claim? That's a problem. You can see that, right?
But the issue is here, if they do their homework, they learn and they educate themselves about fair use and follow the correct guidelines where they actually keep their videos within full fair use guidelines where they know for 100% certain it's true, they have nothing to lose in court.
Well, but okay, but it costs money to take people. I don't want to dwell on this for too long because there's a few more questions.
I know. Of course,
it takes money, right?
Course.
So it's
of
you know,
course,
if you're a small creator,
scary,
you're not going to be able to do that. I mean, you have to probably do a GoFundMe or something like that, probably, right? But okay, let's get through some of these more questions here. So you mentioned wishing that these creators would issue a public retraction apology when they've gotten it wrong with you guys. Does your company do the same when you've gotten it wrong?
Yeah, so we've done the same thing when we issued a takedown. I've apologized publicly to Internet Anarchist on his past video regarding that, and we released it literally the next day. We had basically 2 hires that we hired. They were trained up and everything, and then sometimes people get sloppy with work. And when I looked back and I looked at some of the work that they was doing, I was not happy, and we had to remove the 2 people. I take responsibility myself on that, and we made sure that don't happen anymore in the future. So how we deal with things now is we have our seniors that will do all the stuff that gets to the very dangerous parts. And then we have our other people who's like the people who's new employees and trainees. They're the people who's handling everything else before it gets to the highest part that could actually affect someone's channel and stuff. So we've really took a lot of steps behind that. And for example, with a manual claim has to be done manually. So we have our normal staff. They basically go ahead, they submit a manual claim to our senior staff that then review it and they make sure that it's correct or not. So we've added steps now to prevent stuff and certain measures, and we're really trying to improve more. And yeah, I accept responsibilities for that happened. But again, sometimes as well, it's just one of those sort of situations that it could be solved. And at that time, Internet Anarchist didn't know where to turn to, who to talk to. But again, even still, when we claimed his recent video, just for a day, he still could have reached out to us. And I made that sort of those conversations and he didn't reach out to us. So now the best thing is when people know that we're working with these creators, they can reach out to us now and talk to us, go to our website, send a ticket. And I think that's better than anything else out there, you know, instead of always not knowing where to go to.
I mean, yeah, I think that I can understand some of this negativity towards it because I think historically you've had like copyright trolls. I don't know exactly what happened there, but I think there was issues there, and there have genuinely been issues with people being excessive in how they dealt with things. So, but it seems to have gone too far the other way in my perspective, which is obviously while we spoke today.
Yeah.
But,
So just to clarify, we've not issued any takedowns for iShowSpeed other than one that is still active and still taken down, which was a full live stream upload of his. Other than that, he's had no takedowns from anyone. So there is no active takedown from any of iShowSpeed's content. Same thing with Adin Ross as well. So no one's actually got a strike on their channel right now. And if they can provide evidence to show me, they can. I can pull up the CMS and show that there's none. So we've literally not issued any strikes that would really affect a channel.
Okay. Right. Well, that's everything I wanted to talk about, I think. Is there any other comments or anything else you wanted to bring to the table before we wrap this up?
I just think the best thing here is to get the message out there. People need to just follow the correct process, go dispute the claims or go to our website. We've got a claims manager tab and you can send us a ticket or anything like that to get in contact with us. And that's the best way to handle things. Don't feel frightened. Like maybe if it's a certain other company, you might be a bit wary, but I'm telling you, hand on my heart, literally reach out to us. And we'll try and come to a solution. There's never going to be like a sort of a thing where we're going to just ignore you and just go do the takedown. You will definitely get a reply from us on a proper message, like a personal message, or know why we're proceeding in that way if we was to do anything that is going to be harsher, and I think that's all that we can do in the best way possible to kind of clarify some stuff. And we've had disputes. Every dispute gets released in less than 24 hours. And that's what we're doing. We're just keeping up that job to do that. And until next time, we just have to figure it out. But big news reporters, people who report on it, the best thing that people can do is tell creators the correct steps to take. Don't just go ahead and just bash everything when you're not educating the person who you're basically replying to or putting in the news. You're not actually teaching them anything. And, you should be kind of trying to educate people on how to go through things as well. Because otherwise, it's just going to be a spiral. Everyone sees that one fake news and then misinformation, and then they just go around doing the same thing themselves. So then it just controls and turns into an absolute mess, to be honest.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
All the best.
All right. Anything else, let me know. And then maybe at some point, if you do get any sort of additional other information, I can get the devs to basically hide some of like internal information, like contact details with our clients. And then maybe at some point I can basically step by step show you, okay, this person said this, but this is what actually happened, so you can kind of see the internal side of things as well.
Okay.
At some point, if there is anything.
Great. Good stuff. Thanks a lot.
All right. Pleasure. Thanks for this.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.